Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so we've got no trick ponies with the first ban and the first pick in this game. Obviously, the map pick was Gorge Godolphs, so they obviously are happy and comfortable on Cursed Hollow. But as you said, it is one of the most classic maps, so I'd expect both of our teams to be pretty familiar here. Falstad and Dahaka, so we already see a massive priority on the global effects that you can use to obviously such good impact on a map like this. Both of those sort of main global stand out.
Yeah, is this the biggest map in the game, you think?
No, Warhead is slightly larger, but much less played. So we do see Malfurion as the first pick for No Trick Ponies. Obviously, the sort of the premier healer, the very much the top tier healer in the game at the moment. So perfectly reasonable pick coming out from them there. I reckon we might see Gorge Godolph respond by picking up their support, whatever support they want in the first rotation, to make sure that they don't get banned off.
My money would be on Brightwing.
Yeah,
as the Gorge Godolph healer for this game, because one, you've got the global, and two, I believe she's one of the top 3 healers in the game at the moment.
Oh, okay. So they've gone with the Tassadar. I really like the Tassadar pick. Very, very powerful hero in the meta at the moment. And Varian as well. Now, Varian gives you incredible blow-up potential and crowd control past level 10. Obviously, he's a little bit weaker in the early game, but on a map like Cursed Hollow, where you can reasonably expect the game to go relatively long, he's a very, very powerful pickup. Now, ETC, as the other sort of premium stun tank, is a very good counter pick to Varian. He also, past level 10, has the potential for that global effect with stage dive. So, very strong pickup there. And the Tychus, who is just a solid hero all round. Very good. Very good pickups for No Trick Ponies.
Yeah, looking at Tychus, Malfurion, and Tassadar, 3 heroes we've seen picked so far. This time last year, arguably, they would have been 3 of the weaker picks in the game. But just to show you how dynamic this game can be in the space of a year, tier lists can be completely reversed.
Certainly, very much so. I mean, obviously, the game is constantly evolving, both as patches and balance changes come in, and also, of course, as just people's understanding of the game changes. You know, something that can have been very good historically can just become much weaker as people's understanding of the game changes and new strategies evolve. So we do see Artanis being banned out, very reasonable, quite an obnoxious hero to play against in general. And then Valor. Now, obviously, Valor is a sort of targeted ban because with that Tassadar, Valor is just so powerful. He empowers her, obviously, along with an additional support. He just empowers her to be so much more survivable, and obviously, the reason Valor is vulnerable is that her health pool is very low, and you know that's not true when she's got a Tassadar shield on.
Yeah, Tassadar pairs remarkably well with pretty much any hero that relies on their auto attacks, either for their damage or their utility or sustain. Especially dive heroes as well, give them that shield before they go in, and it grants them generally enough survivability to stay in the fight to get the job done.
Yes, indeed, yeah. So they have gone with the Brightwing.
Called it.
And also, obviously, the Ragnaros there. So Rag is just a really powerful hero. Obviously, really good at delaying those curse pickups, both with the Meteor, but primarily with the Molten Core effect that he gets. So really powerful pick in general. And the Brightwing, as you say, gives them the global and is generally just a pretty good hero on this map. So we are going to be looking for some sort of hyper carry coming out from Gorge Goodalt to go with this comp. Huh, an Arthur's pick.
Oh, I did not see that coming.
No, that's quite an unusual one, to be honest. I mean, I quite like Arthur's. I think he's a pretty good hero. He's a very strong solo laner, and I don't quite know how he fares against Ragnaros. I haven't played that matchup myself very many times.
I don't think I've seen it either.
But I do think he has the potential to be a really strong hero.
He's got good lockdown potential if he can land his roots on one or more enemy heroes.
Okay, guys, I forgot to set up the betting. I'm sorry. It's totally my bad. I have now started a contest. It is only going to be open for a few minutes. So, guys, if you want to get your bets in, you need to get them in soon because we're running out of time. And it's the Tracer pickup. I did wonder whether we'd see this. That's quite exciting. I'm really interested to see what exactly they can pull off with this Tracer. They've got a really strong support setup for the Tracer. The Varian lockdown, both the Brightwing and the Tassadar are very good at keeping Tracer active. You've obviously got the speed increase is nice from the Brightwing, but the leeching plasma and the shields from the Tassadar make a huge amount of difference. Now, I have to say, No Trick Ponies aren't super vulnerable to the Tracer. The Arthas is really nice against the Tracer because of that AoE damage from his Frozen Wastes. And if he ever gets connected with the Tracer, she just gets dissolved very, very rapidly. His auto attacks will end her in quick order.
Did Arthas receive some physical armor in the most?
He did, yeah. He's got a passive 10. It might even be 15. I can't remember. One of the buffs was 15, and one of them was 10. I think it was 10 on Arthas, 10 physical armor. But yes, absolutely. And that does make him much stronger against the Tracer as well, because she is purely, or almost purely, that physical damage outside of ult.
Yeah, so you got Arthur with the armor.
Folks, sorry about that, but we are now back into the game. We've already introduced the teams, but I'm just going to do it again quickly. On the left, we've got Gorge Goodalt with Morpheus on Varian, Oliver on the Brightwing, Dragon M on Tassadar, Pandora Wolf on Rag, and Urban on Tracer. And on the right, we've got No Trick Ponies, Silver Fox playing Tychus, Patsku on Malfurion, Jike on the Arthas, Millie on the Leeming, and Senric on ETC. We have got our technical difficulties resolved, and we will now be moving forward into the game. So, looking at the starting maneuvers, we've seen exactly the same placement of the players. The Tassadar and the Tracer here were looking to see if they could catch any strays out. Varian just being very safe in the mid lane, while Rag and Brightwing started straight off in their split lanes. Now, we do have Tassadar and Tracer sharking around in this mid ground, looking to see if they can find somebody on the rotation, but the No Trick Ponies are not going to fall for that. The tanks were coming out first in the rotation, making sure they were safe there. Brightwing is just staying hidden in the bot lane here. Tracer trying to come in and do some poke on the tanks, but I mean, we can see the Arthas just sort of doesn't really take any damage from that.
No, this is a very little concern to him, I imagine.
Pardon?
This is a very little concern to him, I imagine.
Quite. And I mean, even the ETC with his health pool is pretty indifferent to Tracer attacks there. On the flip side, obviously, the more Tracer gets attacks in against heroes like that, just poking away, the more she will be charging her ult, which will potentially give some gank pressure on one of the ranged players on the team. So Still perfectly reasonable thing to be doing for her part. So we do have scouting drone coming out from the mouth, trying to get some more vision control. Prog Rock on the ETC, no big surprise there. Force armor being picked by Li Ming, obviously trying to protect from both some of the Ragnaros attacks and the bomb that comes out of the tracer. That can be quite crucial. Can do a lot of damage reduction there. Arthur's gone for the sort of bruisery option, taking the quest talent on Frostmourne Hungers to increase the damage of that, and we've got Press the Advantage, the standard pick really from Tychus. Now we have seen Tychus solo laning up top against the Ragnaros, and is actually doing just fine. Lost a little bit of HP, and obviously the Rag has the sustain, so that is scary in the longer term, but in the short term, going to be just fine. And we have got the tribute spawning top. Now, Gorge got all over this. They've already rotated 3 of their players into the top lane. Brightwing staying bot, and they do get the catch on the Tychus in exchange for that. Obviously, Varian at 4 has unlocked his Warbringer, so it does give them some lockdown potential, which they are demonstrating right there.
Tassadar very nearly got the channel completed on the tribute, but it was interrupted.
But I have to say, I'm not sure it was worth the interruption. No Trick Ponies poking in. Obviously, their Tychus wasn't able to be there, had died, and therefore they were a man down, and that meant Arthas put himself in a vulnerable enough position to get picked off. So they have now lost 2 deaths to none, which is okay, but a little bit awkward for them in the initial stages. Now, what they've done very nicely is that they've got back to lanes quicker than the opposing team. So they are getting some lane pressure down here in the bot lane, and yeah, Tracer can't really dive in on Tychus. He'll just return the favour, right click back, and tend to be a bit more effective there.
Yeah, also seen both teams pick up their siege camps quite early on in the game, hoping to get some lane pressure away from where the tribute was spawning.
Absolutely.
That worked out slightly better for No Trick Ponies, as their siege camp was pushing the lane furthest from the tribute, so it took Gorge got out a little longer to get down there to deal with it. Absolutely.
So we do have a fairly convenient tribute spawn once again for Gorge Godalt. They already had their Tracer Tassadar down at the bottom half of the map, and that's where the tributes popped up. Brightwing obviously can just stay up top. Has actually been dismounting the Arthas to delay him getting there, and then can TP in. Tracer falling very low though, and Li Ming is going to get the kill there.
There's like Calamity damage.
Calamity, a very strong talent for the Li Ming against the Tracer specifically. ETC going in pretty deep, but is going to fend Gorge Godalt off well enough for No Trick Ponies to be able to pick up that tribute. So, interestingly, we've seen the Q talents coming out from Arthas at 4 and 7, which does make him a little bit more survivable. Allows him to use his Death Coil for damage and healing, but not usually the standard talent picks we see. Icebound Fortitude is a very powerful talent on 7 that he has passed up on in order to have that functionality. But you know, we'll see how that plays out for him. I guess that is particularly good against Tracer because it's point and click, so maybe that's the logic there. Tracer gank does manage to pick off the Tychus with the bomb in the bottom lane there, so that is going to get some more pressure for Gorge Godalt in the bottom lane. We do have the Bruiser camp pushing for No Trick Ponies in the mid. Varian not really going to be able to deal with that, but Tassadar rotating up to help out.
Yeah, I was about to say actually, Gorge Godalt not looking overly strong in the wave clear department.
No, Tracer isn't great for that. Rag is obviously very strong at wave clear, and Brightwing is actually relatively good at the wave clear as well. But no, you're absolutely right, the wave clear isn't great. We do have level 10s now, however, for Gorge Godalt. So although a gank was pulled off on the Ragnaros in the bottom lane by this 3-man rotation, the tribute had to be given up by No Trick Ponies. They didn't want to engage into those level 10s very reasonably, so they have conceded that one, which should be okay, but it does mean they're under pressure to make sure they can pick up the next one. Now Arthas getting taunted, and 3-man gank squad here on him. There's the Q talent kicking in. Almost saved him, but not quite. So that is going to be a gank there on the Arthas. So a response kill from Gorge Goodalt.
Yeah.
Now,
if Tracer's coming after you, there's very few heroes that can actually get away from her successfully.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, in terms of ults, we do have Taunt, obviously. We've got Blink Heal rather than Emerald Wind. We've got Archon from the Tassadar, Sulphurous Smash, and the Quantum Spike, the percentage health level 10 talent from the Tracer. And then we've got Odin, Twilight Dream, Syndragosa, Stage Dive, and Wave of Force on the side of No Trick Ponies. So we are going to have a 5v5 with ults up on both teams here, because obviously Gorge Goodalt would really like to pick this tribute up. It would give them a curse, potentially allow them to snowball, but equally No Trick Ponies does not want to let that happen. So a lot of poking going on down here. Syndragosa has an engage. And they
4 or 5 members of the enemy team there. They're looking to make something happen.
But the follow-up isn't quite there. They do pop Odin as well. Stage Dive was not used to attempt to slow down the disengage, but it did force Gorge Goodalt away from that curse and allow it to be picked up by No Trick Ponies. Now both teams, almost by agreement seemingly here, have just pulled back to do their respective bosses. Both teams have put a global hero in one of the lanes, and are picking up that boss on their own side of the map. No Trick Ponies not going to be in time anyway to interrupt or slow down this boss attempt, or this boss taken by Gorge Goodalt. So we now have bosses pushing and a curse point tribute spawning, curse point for both sides. So this is kind of key. It's kind of really very fortunate for No Trick Ponies that they have spawned the curse down near the boss, where it allows Tychus to be involved in this tribute fight and also poking away at the boss there. Meanwhile, Brightwing has had to stay up top in order to try and help deal with this boss in top lane. Brightwing now teleporting down. We should expect to see the stage dive. And there it is. Wow, that was a 5-man stage dive. But the ETC gets turned on and gets exploded. The taunt in Sulphurous Smash, such a good combination there. Twilight Dream hits 2. That will be enough to take down the Ragnaros in response. So it's a 1-for-1 now. And actually, Gorge Goodalt are going to pull back from the Odin here and allow No Trick Ponies to pick up this tribute.
Yeah, contesting that any further could well have been a case of effectively throwing good money after bad.
It could,
There was a 1-for-1 trade, but they were much lower on health.
They were, absolutely. And, you know, I guess they were scared of leeming chaining resets and things cascading very badly. Now, we do have Mortal Strike now for the Varian, so that's interesting. Reduced healing whenever he hits a hero with his heroic strike. Now he doesn't have anything. Oh no, okay, so he does have Overpower to refresh the cooldown on that. Sorry, I missed that, guys. Gank with the Tracer Tassadar Varian coming down, picking off the ETC in the mid lane there. We do see Rag looking to pick up the... They are losing structures, unfortunately, to the curse here. So, 2 forts taken down. The first one to the boss, the second one to that curse. To only 1 fort taken down. Oh, we do have a bit of a scrap going down in mid lane. ETC stage diving in and getting a massive hit there. Does take down both the Tastar and Ragnaros. Syndragosa coming in to enable their dive under the fort here. and that was a lovely route.
By the ETC stun, dives into the ice block and managed to blink heal away at the very last second.
Blink heal will get Brightwing out there, yeah, so they don't get any additional kills, just the 2 kills, but they do manage to take out this fort at the same time. They do have about half a level of XP lead here. However, obviously what we need to be aware of is that in terms of tributes, it is currently 2-0 in favour of Gorge Good Ult here. So that is a potential threat the next time a tribute option comes up. No Trick Ponies obviously hopefully looking to have the level 16s and for their opponents to not do so.
Curses acquired later on in the game tend to be more impactful as the heroes and everything else scales up in ability. Do you think there's something to be said for getting the second curse rather than the first?
Generally speaking, but of course, also they can't read my writing, so
you should be able to type in the all channel.
No, we didn't get made into refs because we ended up jumping into the. Yeah, very very clever guys. I'm not really sure how to resolve this. I don't think I have any of these guys on my friends list here. I wonder if they are messaging on. Oh, there we go.
Sorry,
Did you unpause that one?
I think so. I don't know why I have the ability to do that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. If they've made you ref, you need to.
I didn't think they did.
No, I didn't think they did either. I just knew they hadn't made anyone because I was unable to type in all chat. But yeah, if you're unpausing, you just need to do a countdown. So anyway, moving on into the game, level 16 talents locked in for No Trick Ponies. We do see armor piercing rounds, so more single target damage on overkill from Tychus, tenacious roots from the mouth, the death coil talent as well, embrace death from Arthas. Instead of the root option, which I personally think is very powerful against Tracer, but you know the root on your E. Imposing presence from ETC, obviously very powerful here. Mirror Ball from Li Ming. The other team, Gorge Good Ult, have also now locked in their level 16s. We've got the vulnerability, physical armor reduction on the Tassadar there. I like that as a choice. In the team comp that they've put together here. It seems very strong. Obviously we do get the percent damage on Sulphurous Swing. Sorry, on Empower Sulphurous from Ragnaros. So both teams pretty even here. Obviously this tribute spawn location is very much in favour of Gorge Good Ult. It's a good defensive position for them. But No Trick Ponies really not happy to let this go. Taunt Chain on the Tychus, but he's going to be fine. Syndragosa engage coming in, but a lot of damage down on the Ragnaros, a lot of damage on across the members of No Trick Pony, but they are going to survive. Varian taken out now by the Li Ming as well. Brightwing, and it is a reset party. Li Ming picking up 3 kills. Now the 4th also locked in by Tychus there. That's going to get them the tribute. It's going to get them the boss because Tracer is now the only player remaining alive on the map for Gorge Good Ult. And it's almost certainly going to allow them to either push in and pick up a keep after capping this boss, or potentially just pull back and cap their own boss, depending on which route they prefer. Looks like they are going to go for their boss.
Looks like so.
This is
They
the
basically got to
safer
run the map
option,
at this point.
which, you know, not got a problem with that at all.
Yeah, see the armor piercing rounds from Tychus just absolutely chunking that boss's health bar.
So that is over a level advantage heading towards their level 20s from One Trick Pony here. So that is a pretty significant lead in the game. They haven't yet managed to take down a keep, so they don't have sort of catapult lane pressure in their favour. But Gorge Goodalt have got to be looking at this and wondering what their solution is here. They've fended off the boss from bottom lane, but the boss now in top lane is pushing in on the keep. They've used Molten Core. We look like we've got the Syndragosa coming in as they engage. And that has been working fantastically for No Trick Ponies.
Yep.
It is going to allow them to take out this keep. Just disabling the structures has been such a big deal for them. And the boss on half health going in on core. Looks like No Trick Ponies are looking for a core attempt here. They do get the pick off on Tracer. Once again, the Calamity from the Li Ning just having such an effect. Arthur's falling very low, but his self-healing and the healing from his team is going to be able to keep him up. Tychus now getting focused, but again, he's going to escape on low health. The core is still on 65%, 60%. But No Trick Ponies are not backing away here. They're looking to the end. ETC does get picked off, and their shields, core's on 50%, but shields are starting to regen. Arthur's getting CC'd by Warbringer. Taunt very nearly up, but Arthur's does get a massive root there, enabling the team to escape. They are going to be able to pick up this tribute. Because No Trick Ponies are on such a defensive footing, they're not going to be able to get there in time. They do now have a keep down, and they are extremely close to those level 20 talents. They now have got that unlocked. It's going to be very difficult for Gorge Goodalt to win this out here. They need to now be constantly aware of the top lane. They actually need to be aware of the potential for a backdoor with a sub 50% core. And they've got to be really careful for the next couple of minutes while they try and get their level 20s.
Yeah, looks like Gorge Goodalt have it all to do now. They've managed to capture that top siege camp, which will buy them a bit more time in the top lane. But that will only hold off those catapults for so long. Absolutely,
yeah, and I mean we might well see No Trick Ponies rotate up and clear those catapults away. No Trick Ponies also have mercenary pressure in mid lane. Now this is a curse point tribute for both teams because No Trick Ponies have picked up the last 2 curses in a row, and they still have that level 20 talent advantage.
Yeah,
Gorge Goodalt not going to risk trying to engage into those level 20s, but that does mean they are giving up curse. ETC using stage drive there and actually
a little late to the party.
He correctly guessed that the camp was where the enemy team were, but the stage dive was slightly too late to actually hit anybody. However, No Trick Ponies, they know they've got the advantage. They're smelling the blood in the water. They've popped Odin and they're going in hard on this mid keep. They're looking to at least take down another keep, potentially both of the keeps, before Gorge Goodalt can get their level 20. So No Trick Ponies looking really, really strong here. Not far off the level 20s now are Gorge Goodalt, but they are going to have 0 keeps by that stage. They might even have lost the game. So Syndragosa comes down, but not able to get the same level of value as we've seen from it in some of the previous situations. Tracer getting the dive in on the Li Ning, but the bomb does miss, and that is going to mean the 3rd keep does fall, and basically Gorge Goodalt are now pinned in their base. It's going to be very hard for them to find space to have any impact on the map. The catapults even chipping in a couple of % more damage onto the core there. No Trick Ponies pulling back, taking the boss. Gorge Goodall now have their level 20s, and this may be their one remaining time window to make something happen. Go in on the boss,
it's now or never.
And the Odin nuke does take down the Varian, but Arthur's also falling. A lot of damage on both sides, but ultimately the stage dive is going to take out another 2 members of Gorge Goodall, and that is going to be a 4-for-1 in favour of No Trick Ponies in the team fight. Really no way that Gorge Goodall are going to be able to defend this. This is going to be game. We've got catapults and minions coming down all 3 lanes, plus 4 members of Gorge Goodall. They're going to shred that core in no time at all, and there's no defense from Gorge Goodall. So, game number 1, going over to No Trick Ponies. Well played by them. Good game to both the teams. We will be right back in just a moment to